Afternoon. Already confused. Hello, good afternoon. This is Gary Edward, psychologist, psychotherapist, here in Lausanne, Switzerland, on my terrace. It's a beautiful day. A bit difficult to get decent lighting because of the shadows and things like that. And today I'm going to talk about optimism as a coping strategy, which is a very, very important subject, and it can really save you and help you in your lives. Um, but before that, just talk a little bit about myself and my day and how things are. So, as it's Saturday, the 24th of May, 2025, it's Saturday's day off. Obviously, I don't go to work today. Didn't have the car today either. Wife has taken it off with a friend for the weekend, and so I was on foot. So I went for my fitness training as I usually do on a Saturday morning. I went had a coffee. It was nice sitting on the terrace having a coffee, looking at some YouTube, and then I did my shopping. And tonight, I don't know. I'm welcoming. I think my son, my daughter, her boyfriend, and maybe the three little ones for a pizza party. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be fun, hopefully, anyway. So that's it. And I came home and I put my stuff in the fridge and the freezer, and I had a few hours on the terrace to get a bit of sunshine and relax a bit. But I've got so many things to do, and just like, oh, can't be bothered. So hello. So that's up to now. So now it's 4:30 in the afternoon, and I'm going to talk about optimism as a coping strategy. Now, optimism itself is not blind faith. It's not, oh, everything will work itself out good. If you are a believer, if you do believe that God will help you and support you and help you find your solutions, then I have obviously nothing against that, because it's wonderful. It's wonderful if you can believe. But what I'm talking about is when things go so wrong, or if you don't have that sort of belief, that you say, my life is not working, I can't see how to go forward, it's just awful, and it's the end, it's the end, it's the end, it's the end. So it's that situation where optimism as a strategy, it's what does that mean, optimism as a strategy? What it means is that by saying, I can and will find a solution, already that will change things in your body. Which is, what do you mean in your body? Yes, in your body. Because our brains produce hormones, neurotransmitters, and affect the way our body functions. We have people that are depressed. They're depressed because they have a lack of serotonin. So that's what a lot of antidepressants do. They either create more, or they have what they call uptake inhibitors. So it means that what's produced, instead of being sort of sucked up by sort of physical vacuum cleaner in our bodies, it leaves more hanging around, so we feel better. But we don't have a problem with our brains. It's not because somebody is depressed that there is something in their brain that doesn't work anymore. Quite the opposite. What I believe is that you feel depressed because you have depressive thoughts. Those depressive thoughts create in the person physical signs of depression. And yes, people can't concentrate, and they have bad memories, and maybe it perturbs the way that they eat and the way they sleep. But it's produced by thoughts. It's produced by the way people think. It's not because there's a problem in the brain. It's a problem in the thinking. And when people start to think about things in a more positive way, that creates changes in their physical body. One of the most obvious things is when you do sport. When you do sport, the energy produces endorphins. Those endorphins create a feeling of wellness. And that feeling of wellness then goes up to the brain, because things go in all the different directions in the body. It goes up to the brain and you start to think more positively because you feel more positive, because your body's more positive. So it works in all different directions. So it's totally possible that when you start to think things negatively, then that affects your body physically, that affects your emotions. I would say physically. You describe that. So to be more optimistic, that helps change everything in your body. And I'll give you an example that happened to me obviously a few years ago. When I was reaching my 65th year and I was getting close to official retirement age, I realized that because of a very complicated life, I didn't have enough money to retire with. I cannot live and fulfill all my obligations and responsibilities, needs, wants, and desires with the money I've got coming in for retirement. It's just not even close, just not anywhere near close. And I started to feel depressed. This is one evening reflection. This is not something over a period of time. It just came to my mind. I thought, oh, I'm getting close to 65. How am I going to retire? And I thought, oops, I can't retire. I don't have enough money. What am I going to do? Am I going to survive? And then I thought, well, what can you do? I'm independent. You can continue working. I thought, okay, then how long's conversation, internal conversation, don't use all these words. And I thought, well, how long should I work for? I thought, well, why not work till you're 75? That gives you 10 years to find a way to increase your retirement. Maybe save some money and increase your retirement. And in that moment, I moved from a feeling of helplessness and depression and almost panic to a feeling of calm. That, okay, that's something I can do. I don't know what I'm going to succeed to do in 10 years to have a passive income, but it gives me 10 years. And I have loads and loads of things I can do, creativity. And so at some point, I don't even know if I thought about the internet and YouTube at that point. I don't even know if I thought about it then. But I thought things could happen. And things are starting to happen. Things are starting to move. But it's because I gave myself time. And I gave myself, I have a target, 10 years. I need to have a passive income in 10 years. That's enough to survive on. Maybe I need to also, well, in 10 years also expect to reduce certain of my costs and responsibilities, especially for my older children. And we'll see how it goes. But it changed the way that I looked at life. It said, okay, now you have a project. Now you have some means. And the when I talk about in other videos, the secret of my success, the secret of my success has always been have a dream. See if the dream is reasonable. Is it doable? Is it realistic? If it's realistic, then can you be positively optimistic that it can work? If things go well, you can never tell. Once you're there and you say, what support do I need? What strategies do I have to take? And then work, which has always been the way that everything has come to me. So to say, okay, you've got 10 years, find something that's going to build up to bring you an income in 10 years and then go for it. And at the moment, I'm on YouTube during the 70-day challenge, 6 days a week. I have to find subjects, I have to take the time, and I have to do all my normal work as well. And that's okay. It's okay because I'm looking forward to something good happening. And that has always been the way. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I know I'm fortunate is that I do have a basic optimism. I'm an eternal optimist. I was educated that way. My father went bankrupt many times, and he got up and he brushed himself down and he started all over again and he built something else. Now, I don't choose to go bankrupt. I'm trying to avoid that sort of experience. But the idea that you can always build or rebuild or create or recreate or find a solution, that is that's just the basis of I don't care where I am now, even if it's bad. if I think about it, if I ask, because also we might sometimes need quite a lot of help. How can I move myself forward from where I am, which is not really where I want to be to where I would want to be, or would be even more interesting without actually knowing where I'm going? So it's it's a state of mind. It's a way of dealing with life. It's saying that wherever I am now, it could be better. If I'm given a lemon, how can I turn that into a lemonade? What can I do to change my life? And I heard with my patients, it's part of my daily task is to take what they've got. First of all, if I can reframe it, if I can show them how what they've got is not so bad. For instance, I've had patients that have come to me and said, Mr. Gedol, I worked for 20 years and now I've lost my job and I'm not finding one for the moment. Life is awful. And I say, well, this is, I remember specifically when I was working at Montreux. Montreux is, I don't know if you know, it's where they have the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland. It's next to the lake. It's got this very, very mild climate. It's very, very beautiful. And people, often go to on holiday, especially in the summer, to Montreux just to experience what it's like. And I said, well, you've been working for 20 years. How many weeks holiday have you had during the 20 years? He says, well, usually 4 weeks, sometimes 5 weeks at the end, holiday per year. I say, okay, well, think about that. You take maybe two weeks at Christmas. I said, yes. You take 1 week in the autumn. I said, yes. And 2 weeks in the summer. Yes. I said, and now you are here in Montreux in the summer. You, for the unemployment, you make your demands because you do want to find work. So you do that. And for the rest of your week, you're on holiday. You'll have enough money from the unemployment to pay for your apartment, to pay for your food, to pay for your clothes, to pay for your health insurance, and the rest of the time is yours. He looked at me and he said, I can't look at my life as if I'm on holiday. And I said, why not? Why not? You have the time, you get up when you want. If you want, you do a bit of work research. You go out, you have a walk along and that's not the seafront, but the front of the lake. You stop, you have a coffee, you read the papers. Nowadays, people look on their phones and say, what's the difference? And he went away. And he didn't come back. You sent me a phone call and said, he sent me a phone. He said, Mr. Yedler, I feel better now. Thank you very much. If I need you again, I'll contact you. That was the end. Because he went from feeling helpless and negative to being positive and optimistic. He actually succeeded to turn the lemon of being unemployed to a lemonade. Now, maybe in 3, 6, 9 months, if he hadn't planned any work, maybe he would start to lose confidence again. But he was a reasonable person and good work history. I was quite optimistic for him that he would find something. But I said, better a little bit later than sooner, because that gives you, a bit of a holiday, which is what you need. I had other situations that are much more problematic. I had a patient that came to me that was in a terrible state, terrible state. She just had a baby. The baby wasn't doing particularly well, and they took it for some checkup. Eventually, she went to a cardiologist. The cardiologist did a full scan, and he said, there's a problem with one of the valves in your child's heart. That's always very scary when there's a heart problem, especially with a baby. And I don't know if you know, but the valves are sort of like these trèfle, clover, with three leaves, and the three leaves sort of intertwined and open and close and open and close like this. And one of them worked fine, and then the other two were a bit stuck together, and they didn't open and close as much as they should. And he said, well, it's not good. It's not awful. It's not something that we should panic about. But if it doesn't go in a good direction, it's possible that we might have to replace the valve. And to replace the valve in a very young child, it's problematical because not only is the heart small and the procedures are obviously quite delicate, but as the heart grows, the valve needs to be changed. So what he said is like every 2-3 years, depending on the speed of the growth of the heart, they might need to have another operation, just until the end of the heart growing, the end of adolescence for the child, and after that they will put in one that doesn't have to grow, and that should last on average about 10 years with blood thinners and things like that. And every 10 years they'll change it. And she's like, that means that the poor little one's going to have like 6-7 operations until they get to adolescence, and then every 10 years a major operation, maybe a heart operation. It was like for. And so I looked. I thought, well, let's just look and see what's happening with future technology, because I work with my computer now constantly, and so I looked it up, and it seems that the current research, there's different things that's happening, obviously different places, different enterprises, and one of the most interesting thing for her at the moment was the fact is that they were producing now valves that could grow. They could change the size of it. I don't know how they would do that. And basically, you'd put them in a child that's quite young, and that valve would grow with the heart for a number of years. So that was already reducing the number of operations enormously. And then, as they're looking for future projects for heart valves, they have this new idea that they've got some sort of a skeleton of metal scaffold, and the scaffold will be populated by the cells of the person, and basically it lasts forever because the metal is covered up. It's not going to wear out because it's a metal, and the cells that populate it will change as they grow, will die and reborn and stuff like that. So basically, long term, the project would be the fact is you do it once and that's for life as far as they're concerned. So, and because the child was a baby, when it will be time for that young person to have a replacement, in 10 years' time, it would be guaranteed. The fact is that they would have that or many other type of materials that um, they could have. I mean, nowadays they can build and grow things even from your own cells. What they can do in 10 years, it's impossible to imagine. The new technology. So what happened is that within the moment, within one session of looking at that, what was the most awful nightmare that one could imagine, and became something unpleasant, but much less bad, much less bad. And by a wonderful miracle of nature and life and whatever, um, the baby is done much better. And as far as the cardiologist is concerned, the two bits have sort of started to separate, and our heart is functioning as it should. So fingers crossed that we won't need any of that. But what was important was that for the year, because it was a year between the two controls, and that my patient was able to live that year, invest more in her baby, and not have that stress and anguish on a daily basis. And the same type of thing happened to me not so long ago. I had a new patient, and not very young, and his wife had an AVC, what's that, stroke, and and with strokes, it can obviously affect any part of the brain, and this part of the brain was for the swallowing, and so she couldn't swallow. And what they had to do a tracheotomy. They had to make a hole there and have a tube that helps her breathe. And obviously it's not very comfortable to have, and it's a very unpleasant thing. And he said, well, that's it now, isn't it? She's going to have to cope with that for the rest of her life. And I said, well, why don't we look on the internet? Let me see what can be happening. And I thought, it makes me think of the heart. She said, what's it got to do with the heart? I said, well, people sometimes their hearts don't work very well. They either have a bradycardia, which means the heart is too slow, or tachycardia, I think it's in English. The heart is too fast, or problems of rhythms, which are even worse. And they put a pacemaker in. And the pacemaker, what it does, it gives a message, an electronic message, to the heart, which is only a muscle, to contract or decontract. So maybe there's something similar for the throat, because it's only a muscle that contracts, decontracts. Unfortunately, the message from the brain is not going down as it should, but maybe there's something else. So we looked it up. This was only recently. I looked it up, and lo and behold, there is a system that does exactly that. That's well advanced in its tests, and they had, I think, about 40, 50, 60% success rate. And a lot of the people have actually had the tube taken out. They've had the reverse operation with this new system. And all of a sudden, even if it wasn't for today or tomorrow, there's a possibility in the future that it's going to be okay. So this attitude of my life is not working the way it should, the way I would dream, the way I'd wish, and it's bad, then just excite, invest in optimism, and saying solutions can be found, things can improve. And it's not always true. Obviously, it's not always true. That sometimes there are situations that cannot get better, and there are no solutions for the moment, and we just have to cope with what's going on and try and make the best of what it is. And don't set that moment being particularly optimistic is not realistic. That's the whole point of it. The whole point of optimism as a coping strategy is the fact is that you look for something positive. And even people at the end of their lives, they can find positive moments and things to do and ways to function. So in most situations, it's not all situations. Obviously, there are things in life that are not going to get better. They're only going to get worse. And that's something that's a truth. But it's not that often. It's much more often that when you get I had a patient that came that had been working illegally in Switzerland for years and years and years, and he tried to become to find a way to become legal, and it hadn't worked, and he'd given up. And I said, look, you need to try again. You need to see, is there another path, another way? He said, I went to this association, and I went to this lawyer, and I went to this person. So, try again. Keep trying. Keep believing that there is a path. And he was actually a believer. And I said, God can help you. Well, he believed that God could help him. And because he believed that he could be helped, and he was a really good person. He was an incredibly nice person, incredibly generous person. He was someone that had so little and gave so much. I really felt that he deserved to have a helping hand. And I pushed him and I supported him in the few ways that I could to try and find associations, to find groups and things like that. And eventually, the control of the population, I have no idea. He got a social worker, and they went to the control of the population. So he's been here for a while, and is there any way that he can legalize his status? And strangely enough, they said, okay. Just like that. Okay. He says, here's a temporary work permit. Go and get yourself some official contracts. Prove to us that you can earn enough money to survive on. He spoke perfect French. And he'd been here for a long time. He spoke perfect French. They said, prove to us you can earn enough money with contracts. One on several contracts. He he got a lot of temporary work, a lot of short-term work and bits and pieces here and there. He says, find us that and we will see what we can do. And he spent months going around because he's such a nice person. And people would give him a few hours work in, a few hours work there, but regularly with a contract. And I think he was a gardener. So it was always like 2-3 hours here and 2-3 hours there. That's how it works. And eventually he had enough hours and enough guaranteed income to go back to the control of the population. The corporal said, yep, that's okay. Just like that, that's okay. After years and years and years, nobody wanted to look at him. Nobody give him any the time of day. They said, oh, no problem. We'll send it to Bern. They sent it to Bern. And he had loads of letters of support from all his clients, all the people he knew at the church and things like that. And within about 2 months, he got his permit. And he was in an impossible situation. He was in there for years and years and years. But because he found back his optimism, he then tried again. He tried to find the solutions, and the solution appeared. So whatever you're doing in life at the moment, if it doesn't seem to be working out for you, if you're in a difficult situation, first of all, try and excite your optimism. Try and say, it could be better. There can be a solution. And now I believe that a solution is possible. I need to look for it. And if I find a possibility, I need to reflect on it. I need to build on the idea. And by building on the idea, also it reinforces it. And by reinforcing the idea, then you start to think about what support might I need. And then when you think, well, I've got the support maybe I need, what strategies, how am I going to go forward? And then, of course, you need to work. Things don't come for nothing. That's not realistic. Optimism has to be linked to work. Success is you dream, then you test whether the dream is realistic. Can you be optimistically realistic that your dream can come true? If you can say, yes, if things go well, this could happen, then you look for support. You think your strategy through, and then you do the work. You make the effort. The guy worked and worked and worked. He went round. He got the flyers printed. He rang bells. He knocked on doors. He smiled at people. He talked to people. And he got a few hours work here and a few hours work there. And when he started, he said, look, Mr. Yale, I'll never get enough hours with contracts so that I can satisfy the control of the population, the police. I said, just go forward. You've already got a few contracts. You've already got a start. If you've got a few, you can get more and more and more and more. Me, at the moment, for these YouTube lives, the number of people that are watching it are not that many. It doesn't matter because there's already some. You're already here. That's already something. Welcome. All I need to say is that if I keep doing this and I do it right, and maybe I'll need to change things or improve things, and hopefully I'll get feedback to say, why don't you do this or do that or do it differently? It should build. And by saying it should build, it's just if I keep doing it and keep working at it and keep investing and making it happen, then if I'm on the right path, and I hope I'm on the right path, I trust I'm on the right path, maybe it'll be proven that it's not the right path, then I'll try and find another path. But if it's on the right path, then maybe I just need to keep working and working and working and working. And because I'm optimistic, I trust that sooner or later this, or something that will come out of this, will work. And it'll be fine. And so no matter what situation you're in, just say that it could be better. Let me think how it could be better. Let me ask other people what they think how it could be better. And I trust that you will find your solutions and you will improve the quality of your life. This is Gary Edward Ghetto, Living in Harmony channel. Thank you for your time. Thank you for attention. Remember, I'm here 6 times a week. Saturday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Central European summertime. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 8:30 p.m. So Tomorrow is a hypnosis meditation. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's going to be something hopefully that will help you relax, help you feel better, fill you with sunshine. I have no idea. We'll see tomorrow if you're there. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you the next time. Bye for now.